Welcome to the Untold Scriptures, where we're about to embark on a journey that will take us through the heart of one of the most powerful stories ever told, a story of life, death, and a miracle that changed everything. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, tap the bell, and share this with someone who needs to feel its weight. We're heading to Bethany, a quiet village just outside Jerusalem, where a man named Lazarus and his sisters, Mary and Martha, lived a life woven with faith, friendship, and a bond with a rabbi named Jesus. This isn't just a story about a miracle, it's about what it means to face the impossible, to wrestle with unanswered prayers, and to carry a testimony that shakes the world. So, grab a seat, open your heart, and let's walk these dusty roads together, following a man who looked death in the face and came back to tell the tale, or, rather, to live it. Bethany is a place of sun-warmed stones and olive groves, where the air carries the scent of bread baking and the hum of village life. Lazarus, Mary, and Martha live in a modest house, its courtyard shaded by a fig tree, its walls echoing with laughter and shared stories. Lazarus is the steady heart of the family, a man with kind eyes and a quick laugh, known for his generosity and his quiet faith. Mary, the dreamer, loves to sit at Jesus' feet when he visits, drinking in his words like water from a spring. Martha, the doer, keeps the house alive with her energy, her hands always busy, her heart always open. Jesus is more than a rabbi to them, he's a friend, a teacher, a presence that makes their home feel like holy ground. They've seen his miracles, heard his teachings, and believed in his promise of a kingdom where all things are made new. But as the sun rises over Bethany today, something's wrong. Lazarus is sick, his body burning with fever, his breath shallow. The sisters send for Jesus, their message urgent. Carried by a runner through the hills, "Lord, the one you love is sick." They wait, their eyes on the road, their hearts clinging to the hope that he'll come, that he'll heal, that he'll make this right. Days pass and the house grows heavy with silence. Lazarus's condition worsens, his strength fading like a lamp running out of oil. Mary sits by his side, her hand on his, her prayers a whispered plea. Martha moves restlessly, preparing broth he can't swallow, her practical mind grappling with a fear she can't outrun. The neighbors come, their voices soft, their offerings of bread and oil a small comfort. But Jesus doesn't come. The runner returns, his face grim, saying Jesus is in Perea, too far to reach them in time. The sisters hold on to faith, but it's fraying, stretched thin by the sight of Lazarus's pale face, his labored breaths. They've seen him heal the blind, cleanse lepers. Why isn't he here? The question lingers, unspoken but sharp. As the days drag on, by the fourth day, the worst happens. Lazarus's breath stops, his eyes close, and the house fills with the wail of mourning. The sisters wrap his body in linen, their hands trembling, their tears soaking the cloth. They lay him in a tomb, a cave in the hillside, sealed with a heavy stone. The village gathers, their psalms a low hum. But the sisters are alone in their grief, their faith battered by the silence of the one they trusted. The sun rises and sets, but Bethany remains frozen in sorrow. 4 days have passed since Lazarus was laid in the tomb, and the air is thick with the scent of myrrh and the sting of loss. Mary sits in the courtyard, her knees pulled to her chest, her eyes fixed on the path to the tomb, her prayers reduced to a single word, "Come." Martha moves through the house, her hands folding and unfolding a cloth, her eyes darting to the door with every shadow that passes. The neighbors offer food, murmur psalms, but their presence feels like pity, and it cuts deep. The question that haunts the sisters, why didn't Jesus come, is a wound that festers, a doubt that grows in the silence. Then, like a spark in the dark, a whisper ripples through the village. A child runs through the streets, his voice high and urgent. He's here. The rabbi's coming. The word spread, from house to house, from the marketplace to the groves. Martha drops the cloth, her heart lurching, and steps outside, her eyes scanning the horizon. There, on the road winding through the hills, is Jesus, his cloak dusted with dirt. His face set with a purpose that's both calm and unshakable. Martha runs to him, her sandals slapping against the earth, her heart a tangle of grief and hope. The crowd falls silent as she reaches him, her voice trembling but steady. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." The words are raw, a challenge and a plea. Carrying the weight of 4 days of waiting, Jesus looks at her, his eyes deep with tenderness, and says, "Your brother will rise again." Martha nods, clinging to doctrine. "I know he will rise in the resurrection at the last day." But Jesus steps closer, his voice low and powerful. "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die." Do you believe this? The question pierces her, and she searches his face, her faith fragile but holding. "Yes, Lord," she whispers, "I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God." She returns to the house, her steps slower, and finds Mary, still lost in grief. "The teacher is here," she says, "and he's asking for you." Mary rises, her movements heavy, and walks to meet Jesus, the crowd trailing behind, their whispers a mix of hope and doubt. When Mary sees Jesus, she falls at his feet, her voice choked with tears. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Her words are a lament, a cry from the depths, and Jesus's face softens, his eyes filling with pain. The crowd watches, some weeping, others muttering, "Couldn't he who opened the eyes of the blind have kept this man from dying?" Jesus doesn't answer. Instead, he trembles, his breath catches, and tears spill down his face. He weeps, a deep, shuddering sob that shakes the crowd's heart. This is no distant prophet, this is a man, broken by love, sharing their grief. Mary looks up, her tears mingling with his, and for a moment, they're bound by a sorrow that transcends words. Jesus straightens, his tears still wet, and asks, "Where have you laid him?" The crowd moves with him, a slow procession to the hillside tomb. Its stone a silent accusation. The air is heavy with the scent of decay, a reminder of the 4 days that have passed. Martha and Mary stand together, their hands clasped, their hearts pounding, sensing something is coming, something they can't yet name. Jesus stands before the tomb, his eyes fixed on the stone. "Take away the stone," he says, his voice clear and commanding. The crowd gasps, and Martha steps forward, her voice trembling. "Lord, by this time there's a stench, for he's been dead 4 days." Jesus turns to her, his gaze steady. "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" Martha hesitates, then nods, stepping back. The men roll the stone away, the stench hitting like a wave, and the crowd recoils, their eyes straining into the dark. Jesus lifts his face to the sky, his voice ringing out, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the people here, that they may believe you sent me." The air feels charged, like the moment before a storm. Then Jesus calls, his voice thunderous, "Lazarus, come out." The words echo, piercing the silence. And for a moment, nothing happens. Then a rustle, a movement, and Lazarus emerges, his body wrapped in linen, his steps unsteady but alive. The crowd cries out, some scream, some sob, some fall to their knees. Mary collapses, reaching for her brother, her voice a broken whisper, "Lazarus." Martha stands frozen, her hands trembling, as Jesus says, "Unbind him and let him go." The linen falls away, revealing Lazarus's face, pale but breathing, a living testimony to a power no one can deny. Bethany is transformed. The hillside, once a place of mourning, now a stage for the impossible. Mary and Martha cling to Lazarus, their tears mixing with laughter, their hands touching him to confirm he's real. The crowd is in chaos, some shouting praises, others whispering of ghosts. The disciples, stunned, look at Jesus with new awe, their doubts shattered. But not all are convinced, some slip away. Their footsteps quick, heading to Jerusalem to report to the Sanhedrin. The news spreads like wildfire, from Bethany's hills to the city's markets, turning Lazarus into a legend. Pilgrims flock to see him, their eyes wide with wonder or suspicion, making the sisters' home a place of pilgrimage and scrutiny. Mary watches Lazarus, his quiet presence heavier now, his eyes carrying a depth that unsettles even her. Martha, ever vigilant, notices strangers with sharp eyes, their questions too pointed, their cloaks too fine for travelers. The Sanhedrin gathers in Jerusalem, their faces tight with fear. Caiaphas, the high priest, stands, his voice cold. This man Jesus performs many signs. If we let him go on, the Romans will come and take our temple and our nation. He pauses, then adds, "It is better that one man die for the people than that the whole nation perish." The council nods, their decision clear. Jesus must die, and so must Lazarus, the walking proof of his power. The house in Bethany becomes a fortress under siege, the air thick with tension. Pilgrims come daily. Some to worship, others to gawk, their whispers sharp with doubt. Can a man cheat death without a cost? They ask, their eyes on Lazarus, who sits in the courtyard, his gaze distant but kind. Mary longs to ask what he saw beyond the grave, but his silence stops her, not cold but sacred, as if his experience is too vast for words. Martha guards him fiercely, turning away strangers, her eyes scanning for spies. A merchant, a trusted friend, brings a warning. The Sanhedrin sees him as a threat. They're planning something. The words land like a verdict. And the sisters know they can't keep Lazarus here. One night, under a sky bright with stars, Mary whispers, "You have to go." Martha hands him a gray tunic and a cloth to hide his face, her hands trembling. Lazarus nods, his eyes heavy but resolute, and steps into the darkness, leaving Bethany behind, a fugitive carrying a testimony he can't escape. The Judean desert is a world of harsh beauty, its sands golden under a blazing sun, its nights cold under a canopy of stars. Lazarus moves carefully, avoiding Roman roads, sleeping in caves. His body worn but his heart searching. He calls himself Ezra or Amos, but the lies feel heavy, like stones in his chest. Hunger gnaws at him, the bread and water from his sisters long gone. But he presses on, driven by a need to protect the life he's been given. He meets a blind shepherd who offers sour wine and a knowing smile, sensing something beyond the ordinary. The desert hides many things, he says, but it reveals more. Lazarus nods, his silence a habit now, but the words linger, a spark in the dark. Days later, a trader shares bread but eyes him warily, muttering, "You've seen things no man should." Lazarus's silence is his shield, but each encounter stirs questions. Why was he brought back? Why is he running? The desert offers no answers, only its vast silence, a mirror to his own. One evening, Lazarus stumbles into an Essene camp, where an elder with a white beard welcomes him. They share dates and water, and the elder speaks of a coming Messiah, a world divided between light and darkness. "You carry a mark," he says, "not of death, but of life." He hands Lazarus a scroll fragment. Isaiah's words scrawled in careful script, "Prepare in the desert the way of the Lord." The words hit like a wave, a call meant for him. Lazarus begins to see his life as a sign, not for himself but for others, pointing to Jesus, the one who called him from the tomb. The desert, once a place of exile, becomes a crucible, burning away fear and doubt. He meets others, a boy herding goats, touching his scars with awe, a woman weaving baskets, offering water with a knowing look. Each encounter weaves a tapestry of purpose, a sense that his life, even in hiding, is changing those he meets. But then comes news that shifts everything. A merchant speaks of Jesus' arrest, of chains and trials in Jerusalem. The words are a wound, but also a call, pulling Lazarus back to the city, despite the danger. Lazarus prepares to leave, his heart torn between fear and love. He packs a small bundle, his hands steady, and prays under the stars. The elder's words echoing, "Your life is a sign." The desert has shaped him, its silence teaching him to listen, its hardships forging resolve. He takes his first steps toward Jerusalem, His silence now a choice to speak through his life, to testify to the one who gave him breath. The road is long, the danger real, but Lazarus walks with purpose, his heart fixed on Jesus. He reaches the city's edges during Passover, blending among crowds, his face hidden. The air is thick with tension, the streets alive with pilgrims and the scent of sacrifice. He hears of Jesus' trial, his crucifixion, and follows the crowd to Golgotha, where crosses stand against a darkening sky. From a distance, Lazarus sees Jesus, his body broken, his cries piercing the air. The sight is a wound, a grief that echoes his own death, and Lazarus prays, his hands clenched, his heart asking why. When Jesus' breath stops, Lazarus slips away, his tears falling, but a flicker of hope remains, rooted in the promise of resurrection. On the third day, whispers spread. The tomb is empty. He's risen. Lazarus finds the disciples in a hidden room, their faces lit with awe. Mary Magdalene tells of angels, of Jesus alive, and Lazarus's heart leaps. His own resurrection mirrored in this greater victory. That night, by a fire, he breaks his silence, sharing his story with the disciples. I was dead, he says, his voice steady. But he called my name, and I walked out. His words strengthen their faith, a testimony to the one who conquered death. Years later, Lazarus returns to Bethany, living quietly with Mary and Martha. His life a silent witness. His second death comes peacefully, in their home, the sisters by his side. He lies on a mat, his face serene, a smile forming as if seeing Jesus again. I'm going home, he whispers, and his breath stops, his body still, his journey complete. They bury him in the same tomb, but this time, it's open, a symbol of life's triumph. Lazarus' story spreads through the early church, a beacon for martyrs in Antioch, missionaries in Philippi, believers in catacombs. His name is whispered as a reminder that death has no hold, that Jesus is the resurrection and the life. His silence, his exile, his testimony become a legacy, a sign that points to the eternal. This story isn't just history, it's a mirror, asking us to look at our own lives, to see where we're called to be a sign, to live boldly in a world that's not ready. So, hit that like button, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe to the Untold Scriptures for more stories that bring the Scriptures to life. Drop a comment, tell us what Lazarus' story means to you, how it stirred your heart, or what you want us to explore next. Let's carry this testimony forward, living with courage, trusting in the one who holds life and death in his hands. Thank you for walking this path with us, and we'll see you in the next story.